have had targeted sunlight sight. Your operation flight is successful.
Hi guys, we're going to do an example game of missile threat here. We're doing 150 points in the Bosnia/Kosovo theatre. So here we have aircraft rosters written up. 150 points for NATO. Got an EA-6B Prowler with an average pilot. 4 AGM-88 harms. Notice I've got the points value in brackets for the AGM-88s because the points value won't count at the end of the game when we add up the remaining points. That way when the game ends I can quickly see which ones are ordnance and which ones I don't have to add up. We also have an E-3B Sentry, being my AWACS aircraft, with an average pilot. 1 F-18 with a competent pilot. 2 AIM-120 AMRAAMs and 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders. Gives us 150 points. We've also got a flight plan here. You can see that. We've got the EA-6B coming in on turn 1 at altitude 3. We've also got the E-3 Sentry coming in at altitude 3. Then on turn 3 we have F-18s coming in, altitude 3, and turn 7 the F-18s have to leave. Now any of these aircraft can leave earlier, but we can specify that during the game, during any flight plan phase. So if our Prowler and Sentry is getting attacked on turn 1 and they're in a lot of trouble, we can potentially get them to leave during the flight plan phase of turn 2, or wait till the F-18 shows up. The F-18 has quite a short range, so we thought we'd put it in a bit later, after the EA-6B has come in. The mission is going to be a strike mission, but the NATO are going to be treating it pretty much like a suppress enemy air defense mission. So they're going to use the EA-6B to come in, take out a few enemy radars, and then the F-18 is just cover, pretty much. And yeah, that's our NATO aircraft roster. For our Serbians, we have 150 points there, 2 SA-3s, SAM sites, 2 low blow radars, guidance for our SA-3, 2 medium AA, we've got a MiG-21 with an average pilot, 2 R-13EM atolls, and 2 R-60 aphids, another MiG-21 with an average pilot, with 4 R-13 atoll missiles. And you can see again I put the ordnance in brackets, ordnance points values in brackets, so that at the end of the game we can easily ignore those points values. 148 points, so 2 points under, that's fine. And my flight plan here, turn 3 we'll have our MiG-21s come in at altitude 6. Now I'm just playing this game against myself at the moment, but this is based on a game I played recently where the Serbians came in at altitude 6, and it caused a lot of trouble for the NATO player. And the MiG-21 has quite a long range, so we didn't really need to specify when it leaves, but if turn 10 comes around, it'll leave by then. This game will probably be over by about turn 7, once all the NATO forces leave. Yeah, so let's get started. So, before the game starts, we're going to set up the Serbian ground assets. We'll say that this side over here is the NATO ingress edge, or ingress zone, 6 inches from this edge. That'll be where the NATO players, NATO aircraft can always show up, even if they're inside a radar envelope. And so ground force assets cannot be deployed within 24 inches of that. So we'll put an SA-3 there, a low blow radar there, say another SA-3 here, that's low blow, SA-3 there, and then we've got 2 medium AA. We'll just place them around like that. And we also have a mission target to place, which cannot be placed within 16 inches of any table edge, and in this case it's an airstrip. So we'll place our mission target just about there. That way it's kind of defended by the various ground assets. Okay, now we're ready to start the game. Now you'll notice there's no aircraft on the table. That's how the game starts. And straight away we check the flight plan. So this is turn 1. We check the flight plan. You can see NATO has their EA-6B and E-3 Sentry coming in, while the Serbs have nothing until turn 3. So, we can place our E-3 Sentry on the board, on the table. Because there's no early warning radar, we don't actually have to worry about we can deploy almost anywhere we like. We can't deploy within the radar envelope of any of these SA3 guidance radars, the low blow radars. Low blow has a 20-inch radius, so we can't deploy closer than 20 inches from those low blows. Now the low blow radar goes up to altitude 6, so there's no way I'm going to be able to deploy any closer than that. What I could do is deploy on the other side. I can come in from behind if I wanted to, although I don't think I can deploy. No, I can't deploy within 12 inches of the enemy table edge. So really my only option is to come in on this side. I'm only using a small portion of the table here, so this is probably about a 4 foot by say 3 foot area here, just for the example game purposes. And otherwise I could deploy in this direction 20 inches away from those low blow radars, which are there and there. So in this case, I'll probably deploy, let's see, we don't really want a sentry to be too close to any of this action, so I'll probably deploy him right at the edge of the table there, just like that. He's going to provide AWACS cover and prevent enemy aircraft deploying too close. Now if this was a no low altitude radar, I could deploy anywhere I wanted on the table. I could bring in a Prowler or a A6, I could put it right there if I wanted to, because there's no radar coverage at altitude 1 in conflicts like Vietnam, early Vietnam, and say the 1967 Six-Day War. So if I wanted to, I could do that. But unfortunately, by the time 1996 comes around, in Bosnia, they do have very good low altitude radars, so I couldn't do anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my EA6B right there. Oopsie. Altitude 3. Speed 1, so I can set my speed when I show up. So I'll put my E3 Sentry, hopefully you can see that. Yep. And I'll put my EA6B about there. Now I can set my speed for him as well, but I'll set it at speed 1. Because I want to come in quite slowly and try and take out these radars before I... in fact, I'll put them there so that I can easily attack both those low blows. Cool, so that's our flight plan phase. Now I'll do the mandatory movement phase. The only 2 aircraft on the table will move. They have a speed bonus of 2 inches for the Prowler. So 2 plus 1 for a speed is 3 inches. And the E3 Sentry, I'm actually using an E2C Hawkeye here for the Sentry model. I don't have a Sentry miniature, so you have to excuse me there. My E3 has a 1 inch speed bonus, and he's going at speed 1, so he goes 2 inches forwards. Okay, that's the mandatory move phase. Now we'll do our action phase. The EA6B Prowler will attempt to get a radar lock on both of those low blow radars at the same time. EA6B has track while scan, so he can do that no problem. Lock on to up to 2 targets at once. And here we have his radar envelope. And because he's an airborne early warning type radar, otherwise known as just a very wide azimuth radar, you can detect and lock onto targets up to 45 degrees either side of the nose. So all the way from there to there, which will easily cover both of our low blow radars. So he needs to make a pilot check. He's an average quality pilot, so he needs a 6. Yep, he's able to. He gets a lock on both of those low blow radars. So I usually give them a radar lock marker. Where are all our radar lock markers? There they are. One there, and one there. They're both been locked onto. So that's one action from the Prowler. For a second action, he's going to fire 2 AGM-88 harms. You can fire both with one action as a ripple fire, and they go 7 inches. So I'll fire 1 at each. So you measure 7 inches from the front of the aircraft, and the missile just goes in the exact direction of the target, provided it's 45 degrees either side of the nose. So it goes to there. And what I usually do is just take the ordnance marker off the base and put it on the base of the missile. That way I know what these missiles are, and I know how many are left, how much ordnance is left with this Prowler. He has 2 AGM-88s left. Okay, so that's the action phase. The E3 Sentry isn't going to do anything. He's just going to cruise at altitude 3. Now we do the ground asset phase. Our ground assets there, they don't have too many options. The NATO aircraft are in radar range, but our SA-3s, in fact, our SA-3 is in range. So, our options with these, whoops, that was a fail. I'll just replace those. Attack of the tape measure there. So our low blow radars could choose to deactivate their radar, and that would prevent the harms from hitting them when they get there. If they wanted to do that, they need to roll a d6 and they can get a 5+ in order to deactivate. Kind of gives you an element of fog of war. You're never exactly sure when someone's firing a missile at you, especially when the target is, I don't know, 12 to 20 nautical miles away. So that's one option. The other option is they can try and get a lock on this EA6B Prowler. There's only one problem with that. It's got electronic countermeasures. It has jamming pods that supposedly can cook a chicken at 20 meters. So there's no way these two radars can lock onto him. He has what's known as ECMX, so it prevents all radars from locking onto him, and protects all aircraft within 8 inches at the same altitude from getting a lock. So essentially anyone near him will be safe from radar locks. So if it wasn't a EA6B Prowler, these Serbian SAM sites would probably start launching missiles because they're in range, but because they can't actually lock onto him, and let's try to deactivate our radar. So for this low blow radar, he rolls 5+, so he has been deactivated. I'll give him a little yellow marker. Yellow marker for being deactivated, and this one here will try to deactivate as well. He does not. And that's our ground asset phase. Now, turn 2. The turn marker here, turn 2. So, mandatory movement phase of turn 2. Missiles always move first, so this harm will go 7 inches, and this harm will go 7 inches too. Our aircraft here, the EA6B Prowler will go 3 inches, 1 inch 1 speed plus 2 inch speed bonus, and the Sentry will go 2 inches. 1 speed plus 1 inch speed bonus. On our flight plan phase, there's nothing else going on. In turn 2, neither players have aircraft entering, so we go straight to the action phase. Now, Sentry's just going to stay where he is. The Prowler, he's already got a lock on both of those SAM sites, and the only weapons he's armed with is the AGM-88 HARM with the high-speed anti-radiation missile. So he can't target anything that doesn't have an active radar. So potentially he's going to want to maybe turn and try and stay out of range of the AAA there. We've got 2 medium AAAs. And if I keep moving forwards, I'm eventually going to come within range, which is 10 inches. 10 inches. So I don't really want to go past this area. So I'm at speed 1. That means I can't turn very far. What I could do is, for one action, make a dive down to altitude 2, which will give me up to 2 speed, and then make a turn. So it's one action dive, one action turn. Now my anti-radiation missiles do not need my guidance, do not need me to keep the targets in my radar envelope, so I can easily turn away without any problem. So I turn past 45 degrees, lose 1 speed, and I can turn up to about 89 degrees. That's as far as I can turn at the moment. And that'll prevent me from going any closer to the medium AAA. In fact, I'm almost straight into their coverage, but not quite. Cool, so that's the Prowler's actions. Now for the turn 2 asset phase. So this low blow radar is just going to continue to stay deactivated. No one's in range of the AAA. And this radar over there will try to deactivate as well. He needs a 5+. He does. So he deactivates. That's our asset phase. Now we go to turn 3. So, now the fun happens. In our flight plan phase, we have an F-18 entering and 2 MiG-21s. Now, when both players have aircraft entering, the lowest quality must deploy first. So because the F-18 is competent and the MiG-21s are average, the MiG-21s will have to enter first. So, where can we place our MiG-21s? Obviously we can always place them in a friendly ingress zone, but we can also place them anywhere on the table that's outside enemy radar envelope. Now we have an AWACS aircraft here at altitude 3, and the AWACS radar only covers up to 2 altitude above and below. So if he's at altitude 3, the AWACS radar covers up to altitude 5. So 3, 4, 5. So if I was at altitude 5, I wouldn't be able to deploy anywhere near this guy, up to probably about 40 inches away. So I'd pretty much have to deploy in my friendly ingress zone, and that would be it. But because I'm at altitude 6 here, see I've got my altitude set, and I've got some ordnance there, 2 R-60 missiles ready to go. Because I'm at altitude 6, I can deploy anywhere I like. Not within 12 inches of the enemy ingress table edge, so I can't quite deploy, in this 12-inch area, but I could deploy somewhere like this if I wanted to. So now I need to think, this Prowler is going to go that way, about 3 inches. So I'm going to try to come down behind him, maybe place him around there, and I can set which speed I want to be at. So I think I'll come in at quite a high speed. It's always good to start with high speed. I know I've got a 6-inch speed bonus for a MiG-21, so that'll take me about 12 inches, so I probably want to be around here somewhere. He'll go 3 inches to there, and I'll go about 12 inches. I should be in a good position for some rare aspect infrared guided missiles. So that's my plan. I've got 2 MiG-21s coming in there, so I might as well place them both. Place the other one here, altitude 6, speed 6. Although I'm thinking the EA-6B is quite low, so I'm gonna have to dive down to get to him, which will mean I'm gonna gain a lot of speed. So what I should do is deploy at a much lower speed. Let's deploy at speed 2, because I know I'm going to gain quite a bit of speed in the dive. And that's the kind of thing you can set as you're deploying your aircraft. These pilots here would be at high altitude, they'd be warned by Serbian radar that they've got an aircraft down here at lower altitude, so they'd kill their throttles for a bit and then dive in. And that's just when the NATO radar picks them up. So, now we have our F-18 deploying. He's deploying at altitude 3. He can deploy pretty much anywhere on the table, but not within 20 inches. Actually, these 2 radars are now deactivated, so he doesn't have to worry about them because they don't have a radar envelope when they're deactivated. So, he can deploy anywhere he likes. He knows his MiG-21s are going to be about here, although actually, they've got a 6-inch speed bonus, and they're at speed 2, so they'll be about 8 inches. They'll be about here. So, he wants to kind of be behind them, I guess, and be about here, so that when he comes in behind, he'll be in a good position. And I'll probably put him at speed 5 just to be safe. Don't want to overshoot them. Okay, that's our flight plan phase of turn 3. Now we do our mandatory movements. The E3 Sentry goes 2 inches. Missiles go first. So this missile gets to its target. The low radar is not emitting radar, so this high-speed anti-radiation missile is defeated. So it's removed. Same deal with this one. He gets to the target, it's not emitting radar, so he's removed. If the radar was on for either of those, they would be destroyed. Now I can remove these radar locks because Prowler has no longer got a lock onto them. When it turned away, I could have removed these straight away. Cool. The mandatory movements. So 2 inches for our Sentry, 3 inches for our Prowler. This is all done simultaneously, so I don't need to worry about who goes first or anything. MiG-21s go, I believe they have 6-inch, I'll just double check. Better get this right. Serbian Air Forces, 6-inch, so they're at speed 2, so they will go 8 inches directly forwards. Same for this MiG-21, 8 inches. And our F-18 he's got a 6-inch speed bonus, I believe. Yep, and so he's at speed 5, so he goes 11 inches, directly down like this. This is probably the point where the the Sentry is getting a radio contact with these two other NATO aircraft, saying, be advised, Prowler 1, hostile aircraft detected, bearing 180, 60,000 feet. Probably maybe 8 miles or something, they'd say like that. And so they probably vectored this F-18 into the right place. So now we've done the mandatory movement, we'll do the action phase. So the highest quality pilot goes first, which is this F-18 here. So what is he going to do? Well, he has an airborne early warning type radar, which is 45 degrees either side of the front. So we can target that MiG-21 right there without a problem. He's probably a bit close to be using his AIM-120s, but he can probably fire a Sidewinder without too much trouble there. I believe the minimum range is 2 inches for a, here it is, for a Sidewinder. AIM-9M Sidewinder, 2-inch minimum range. So is the MiG-21 within 2 inches? It is, so it's a little bit too close for a Sidewinder. It's also far, far above us, so even if I could fire a Sidewinder at that angle, they're very high. So what I need to do is climb up and try and get myself in a better position to make a good attack on them. So I'll do a climb. I am fast climb 2, I believe, as a F-18. So I can climb up to 2 altitude without losing any speed. That's probably what I'm going to do. Go from altitude 3 up to altitude 5. That'll be one action. And then I might as well get a radar lock on both of these guys, just to make sure, in case I need to fire AIM-120s next turn. So I'll do that. I need to make a pilot check. I pass. All I need is a 4. So both of these MiG-21s are locked onto by the F-18 radar there. Now we both have average quality pilots, so we'll roll off to see whose pilots activate first. The red will be the Serbians. So the NATO pilots go first. My EA-6B here is going to dive again, so one action to dive. Takes him up to speed 2, so he's now altitude 1, speed 2, and then he's going to spend one action increasing speed. So because he's not powerful, it'll take him 2 actions to increase 1 speed. But he's only got 1 action, so I'll just give him a little green marker there to indicate that he's accelerating. So if he spends another action, he'll be able to gain 1 speed. E3 Sentry, he's going to... I don't want to get too close to our friends, the medium AAA over there, so I'll start making a big lazy turn. E3 Sentry has a 30-degree turn rate, so I'll turn to about 29 degrees there. And over the course of a few, so that's one action. I can then make another turn if I want to, up to 29 degrees. So that'd be both actions, making a big lazy turn. Now, MiG-21s. They will be activating next. So what do they need to do? They've got a problem. This F-18. So how are they going to deal with it? They're probably not going to try and go up after this Prowler, because it's far too low for them. And they've got a new threat priority there. So this MiG-21 is only armed with rear aspect missiles, so even if it turns, it's going to be in the wrong aspect, and it's going to be too close. So all they need to do is try to come in at a better angle. They're not quite sure how they're going to do that. It's kind of a bit of a scrambled situation there, where they've just realised this aircraft's come out of nowhere. What would they do? They could try to dive and gain some speed, which will at least put them in the right place to cause some trouble with these other aircraft. They've got 2 actions, so that attacking this F-18 isn't really an option because they can't get behind. This, if a MiG-21 probably could, because it's got R60 aphids, which are all aspect, so he could potentially turn and fire. But this MiG-21 is going to make a, let's say we'll make a steep dive, which I believe you lose 3 altitude and gain 4 speed. So it goes from speed 2 to speed 6, and loses 3 altitude. And that takes him 2 actions to make that steep dive. Let me just double check that I'm doing that correctly. Steep dive, 2 actions, decrease altitude by 3, increase speed by 4. Yep. So what's next there? That's his 2 actions. Our other MiG-21 there is going to try and turn, and now because he's dived below this F-18's radar coverage, he is at altitude 5, and his radar only goes up 1 altitude or down 1 altitude. And currently this MiG-21 is altitude 3, so the radar lock is broken between the F-18 and the MiG-21. But not this MiG-21. So our other MiG-21, he's going to make a turn. That'll take him 1 action. He'll turn to about there. He passes 60 degrees, so he'll lose 1 speed, because his turn rate is 60. Still got a radar lock on him, but he is in a decent position. 20 degrees. His radar is 20 degrees outside of the nose, so I can go up to about there, which puts the F-18 well within its engagement zone. And he's going to try and fire 2 R60 aphids, which have a minimum range of 2 inches, I believe. R60. 2 inches. So that's what he's going to do. His turn cost him 1 action, and firing 2 R60s will take him 1 more action. So he fires 2 R60s. The R60s hit automatically. They move 7 inches, so they go straight in against this F-18. So at this point, the F-18 needs to make a defensive maneuver. So he rolls the dice. Because we've both appeared at the same... these guys kind of have the element of surprise, having appeared this turn. But because the F-18 is competent, he's not affected by this. So he's not worried. He kind of knew they were there. So yeah, it's not a problem. So he needs to make a pilot check. If they were in the rear aspect, it'd be a -2, but right now they're right in front of him, so he just needs to succeed a pilot check. He needs a 4 on 2d6. He fails. So because he fails, it could either be a case of him not realizing the missiles coming in, or potentially having target fixating and spending too much time defending against these missiles. So you can see here on the defensive maneuvers, we've got, if he fails, we roll a d6. On a 1 to 3, he takes no defensive action. On a 4 to 6, he's still able to, but he becomes defensive 2 instead of defensive 1. So 1 to 3, he would fail, but he does succeed. So he's able to defend against these missiles, but it makes him defensive 2. Now because he's already gone this turn, it doesn't really matter, because it'll be removed right at the end of this action phase. But if there was someone after him, then it would be a problem. So yeah, or if he was going after some of these other guys, if he was lower quality and he was defensive, he wouldn't be able to make any actions. So he succeeded his evasive maneuver. Now, what can he do about that? He can sacrifice speed to reduce damage from these missiles. So he knows the R60 is a +2 type missile, so +2 damage. So if he sacrifices 3 speed, take him down to speed 2, it'll be -3. And because he is, the missiles are in the front aspect, he can also do a vertical defense, which would mean, in this case, climbing. So he could climb 1 altitude to get a further -1 to damage. Now, missiles always count as fast climb, so if he was fast climb, he wouldn't be able to do that, but he's fast climb 2, so he is able to, he can just outclimb these missiles by a little bit, enough to get a negative damage. So he climbs by 1 altitude, and that'll get it down to -4 damage. So the missiles are +2, I'll roll 1 dice each, usually +2, but because it's got a -4, they become -2 damage. So what do we got here? The 2 does nothing, and the 6 there becomes 4, which I believe is aircraft damaged. Let me double check that. 4, pilot wounded. So some shrapnel goes through his canopy or some such, and his pilot is wounded. Okay, that's the 2 R60s gone. That's the end of the action phase for turn 3. So, we'll remove any defensive markers, namely the defensive marker from the F-18, and we will go on to the next turn, turn 4. Turn 4, flight plan phase. Oh, sorry. So now that the actions have gone in turn 3, we need to do the ground assets. So the low blow radars will attempt to reactivate. This low blow does not, and that low blow does not. So they're both deactivated, probably waiting out missiles incoming. Not sure how many missiles are coming in, so they just deactivate just to stay safe. Now, any enemy aircraft within AAA range? Yes. This Prowler, even though he tried to stay out of AAA range, he actually strayed into it. So we'll roll a dice to see if he's hit by AAA. Roll one dice, and on 1, he's hit by AAA. No, he's fine. Our other medium AAA there is out of range of anything, so no problem. That's our asset phase, turn 3. Now turn 4. Flight plan phase. Nothing entered on either player's flight plan, so there's no need to worry about that. Now we do our mandatory movement. The A6B got a 2-inch speed bonus and a speed of 2, so it goes 4 inches. The Sentry has a 1-inch speed bonus and a speed of 1, so it goes 2 inches. F-18 has a 6-inch speed bonus and a speed of 2, so he goes 8 inches directly forwards like that. MiG-21s, this one here is a 6-inch, so he goes 12. This one here has a speed of 1 and a 6-inch speed bonus, so he goes 7 inches forwards. Now he no longer has a radar lock because he's outside of the F-18's radar envelope. And you can see there how the mandatory move changes the situation completely. Suddenly we have these MiG-21s scattered, we have an F-18 there, actually in a pretty good position to take advantage of that MiG-21. So now we do our action phase. So the first to activate is the F-18, because it's highest quality. So, what can you do there? This MiG-21 is a bit low, being at altitude 3. He's at altitude 6, he'd need to dive quite significantly to try and attack him, which makes it not really a viable option. So what he should do is try and attack this MiG-21 here. So he's going to dive, or should he? I want to gain speed there, although I don't really need to, because I'm powerful 2. No, I'm powerful, so I can ignore the first speed loss. So what I'll do is I'll make a turn. I've got a 90-degree turn rate, and I'll ignore the first speed loss. So I go around 90 degrees, 90. When I pass 90, I'd usually lose 1 speed, but I'm powerful, so I can ignore that speed loss. I can make it all the way around to here without any problem. If I pass 180, then I will lose 1 speed. But that's a pretty good position. So that's my 1 action. And then for my 2nd action, I'm going to fire 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders at that MiG-21. Might as well. So AIM-9s. I've only got 2 of each. I've got 2 AIM-9s and 2 AIM-120s, so it might be better even to just fire 1. Because the MiG-21 doesn't have much of a speed bonus, I could probably get away with firing 1. Sorry, it doesn't have much speed. The MiG-21 has 1 speed, so I can't sacrifice any speed to try and defend the missile. So I'll just fire 1 AIM-9, just to conserve ammunition. Okay, so we launch an AIM-9, Fox 2. It moves 8 inches, because it has a faster initial speed than most other missiles. Or at least I think it does, let me double check. Yep, 8-inch initial speed. So I'll put my AIM-9 marker on the base there. You can see the missile tracks automatically 8 inches directly forwards to there. Now at this point the MiG-21 can try to outturn the missile. The Sidewinder has a 90-degree tracking rate, so it's going to track anything within this area, 90 degrees either side of the nose. So the MiG-21 needs to make it into this area to avoid that missile. But firstly, it needs to make a defensive maneuver check to see if he actually can. Now the missile is coming from behind, so it's going to be -4 as he's attacked from rear aspect. He's averaged, so he needs a 6 to succeed, but the roll is -4. So he fails. So we'll roll dice to see if he can actually make his maneuver or not. 1 to 3 he can't, and 4 to 6 he becomes defensive 2 instead of defensive 1. So he's able to, but it'll make him defensive 2. So if he had succeeded his pilot check to start with, he'd just be defensive 1 when he made this maneuver, which means he'd still have 1 action left. but because he's busy looking over his shoulder and defending against that missile, he won't have any actions when it comes to his turn. So he's going to try and make a defensive break, which means trying to outturn that missile. Now he's only got a turning rate of 60 degrees, so he can turn to about there. So let's try that. If he had more speed, he could turn further, but he can only turn 59 degrees, because if he goes past 60, he'll go into a stall, and you don't really want that. Although, he is at very high altitude, so he might have a chance to get out of the stall. That's an option. Turn so hard that you go into a stall just to avoid a missile. So he hasn't made it outside the tracking rate. At this stage, it's still going to hit him in the next phase. So, I think he's just going to stay where he is. He doesn't really want to go into a stall here. But he's still going to be hit by the missile if he doesn't, so, decisions. Let's say he just does that turn. He's not going to go into a stall. Okay, so that's our competent pilot gone. Now it's time for the average pilots. Both sides have average pilots, so we'll roll off. The red will be the Serbians. So the Serbs go first. This MiG-21 is defensive too, so it cannot make any maneuvers, or it cannot take any actions. Whereas this MiG-21 over here can do whatever he likes. So, what's he going to do there? I think he's going to make a turn this way and try and come in behind that F-18 next turn. Could be a good plan while he's busy trying to attack that other MiG-21. So he'll make a turn. He passes 60, loses 1 speed, 120, 2 speed. So that'll lose him 3 speed down to there. 3 speed. Now you can keep turning. What I'll do is I'll just flip this around. Keep turning. Lose 1 more speed, passing 60 there. So he's going to be about there on 2 speed. And that'll take him 1 action. Now the MiG-21 has fast climb 2. So he can climb up to altitude 5 without losing any speed. Go from altitude 3 to altitude 5 without any problem. So that's his actions. Turn, climb by 2 altitude. Cool, now for the NATO actions. This EA-6B Prowler spent 1 turn accelerating, so he can spend his next, 1 action. And he spends his next action going from speed 2 to speed 3. Now what he's going to do with his other action, he's going to turn and try and get out of there. So he can turn up to 45 degrees. Once he passes there, he loses 1 speed, down to 2 speed. Sentry there, going to make his 29-degree turn, and then make another 29-degree turn for both his actions, as he makes a big lazy turn. Cool. Now we do our ground asset phase. Low blows will attempt to reactivate. This one here does not, and that one there does not reactivate. So they've shut down for the day. The operators are probably having a cigarette outside or something, playing some accordion, who knows. Okay, so that's our ground asset phase. I don't think anyone else is within AAA range, 10 inches from that, which is there, from that medium AAA. So the Prowler's just outside. So now we go on to turn 5. Now in the flight plan phase, we could potentially get this Prowler to organize him to leave next turn. Same with this E3, but I think they're going to just linger for the moment, just in case. If things go badly with F-18, then maybe we'll get out of there. So, and also these MiG-21s can be told to leave. The Serbian player thinks they're in trouble. So if I organize them to leave this flight phase, they'll actually leave the game next flight plan phase. So it takes pretty much a whole turn from being scheduled to leave and leaving. So if I scheduled this to leave in this flight plan phase, in the flight plan phase of turn 6, was now currently turn 5, in the flight plan phase of turn 6, he would leave the game. It would just be removed. But I'm not going to do that, so let's go forwards. Mandatory moves. Nothing else happens in turn 5 flatlands. So mandatory moves. The missile goes first. The missile tracks the target up to 90 degrees outside of the nose, which is no problem. Tracks to there and then goes 8 inches and hits our enemy right there. Sorry, I would remove this defensive 2 marker from last turn. Don't need that anymore because that was from last action phase. So the AIM-9 hits the MiG-21. The MiG-21 can try and make a last-ditch missile defense. So roll 2d6. It's attack from rear aspect, so it'll be -4. Oh, look at that. 10, -4 is 6, so he does succeed. So he becomes defensive 1. And he can try to make his last-ditch missile defense. He has no speed to sacrifice. And when you attack from rear aspect with a missile, the only way you can defend vertically is to dive. So he can dive for 1 altitude to get a -1. So he dives down to altitude 5. The missile becomes -1 to damage. Now AIM-9M has a +3 damage. So when it's -1, it's only +2. So we roll 1 dice for the missile, +2 damage. It's a 4, which becomes a 6. And that is the enemy, there's the MiG-21 shot down, destroyed. Now, we'll need to make a pilot check to see if he bails out. He does. So, MiG-21 goes boom, and we have a downed MiG-21 pilot. Right here. So we can remove that missile. And remove that aircraft, and place a MiG-21, place a downed pilot there. Okay, so we can see if this pilot is wounded or not. Under the getting shot down section. So I roll a d6. On a 1, he is severely wounded. So he can only move d3 inches each turn. So pretty bad bailout. There's no way he's going to make it back to the friendly lines in that time and by the end of the game. But he can try. Okay, so that was the mandatory move for our missile. Now do the rest of our mandatory move phase. F-18 goes 8 inches to there. E3 goes 2 inches forwards. Prowler goes 4 inches forwards. And this MiG-21 goes 8 inches forwards to there for our mandatory moves. Now we do the action phase. Our F-18 gets to go first. So he's going to make a turn. Passes 90, ignores the speed loss. Passes 180, he loses 1 speed. I'll take him down to 1, speed 1. And there, he should be within, within the weapon engagement zone. 45 degrees means he can easily target that MiG-21. He's going to fire his second and last Sidewinder. So he's made a turn, he fires a Sidewinder. Sidewinder comes off the rails, goes 8 inches and hits him immediately. He's close enough that it just goes straight in. So the MiG-21 needs to make a pilot check to attempt to defend. He's attacked from the front, so there's no negatives there. He succeeds. So he's defensive 1. So he loses 1 action when it comes to his turn. And he needs to, so this is a last ditch missile defense. He's got speed 2, so we can attempt to get a negative damage by sacrificing 1 speed. That'll give him a -1. And because he's being attacked from the front, he needs to climb to get any further negatives. So the missile always counts as fast climb. Because the MiG-21's fast climb 2, he can actually outclimb it. So he goes from altitude 5, altitude 5 to altitude 6, and that'll give him a further -1, so -2 to damage. AIM-9M is +3, usually. He's got a -2 from his defensive maneuver, so it's only +1. 3 becomes 4 for +1. He is wounded. MiG-21, he manages to climb and make it very difficult for the missile, but some shrapnel still goes through his aircraft, doesn't damage it badly, not enough to cause any trouble, but it does wound him, so he'll be -1 to all pilot checks for the rest of the game. But so will the F-18 pilot. Okay, so that's aim 9 gone. So that was the actions from our competent pilots. Now I've got average pilots, so we'll roll off to see who's go first. Red is the Serbians. Serbs go first. So, our MiG-21 there, what is it going to do? It's not in a great position. I really want to be getting out of there. So, I got one action. I'm going to dive, I think. I'll try to steep dive, but I only have one action here, and there's not too much I can do. So, I could try to turn this way, so that way next turn will be quite far apart, and it'll allow us to kind of gain some separation there. I could try to dive. Next turn he's going to be about 7 inches there, and I'm going to be about there. So it will be some separation either way. So I'll just try and gain some speed here. I'm going to dive by 1, and gain 1 speed there. Cool, that gives me at least some speed to work with, and I can remove that defensive marker at the end of this action phase. So NATO aircraft, what are they up to? This EA-6B is going to turn again, 45, and go to there and only lose 1 speed. So it's past 45 degrees, it goes from speed 2 down to speed 1. So I think maybe he can turn and try and attack those low blows again if they reactivate. E3 will keep turning. 29, 29. So that's how you turn without losing any speed. You just make a big lazy turn. Don't go past your turn rating. His turn rate is 30, so as long as he doesn't pass that, he won't lose any speed. He's a speed 1, so if he does turn further, he's going to go into a stall. Okay, that's all our actions. I'll remove the defensive marker for the action phase. Now we do the ground asset phase. So low blow will try and reactivate. It reactivates. Hooray! Now other low blow also reactivates. So they've had their smoko break. Now they fire up the old low blow to see what's out there. Now this reactivation takes them their whole action, so they can't do anything else. Otherwise they'd be able to lock onto the F-18, start firing missiles. Medium AAA isn't quite in range. 10 inches is there, so it's not quite in range of that F-18. Even if it was, that F-18 is at altitude 6, so it's well outside the ceiling for that medium AAA. Now a downed Serbian pilot is going to move D3 inches back to his lines. Because I don't have D3, I don't think anyone has a D3, but we just roll a D6. 1 or 2 is 1, 3 or 4 is 2, and 5 or 6 is 3. So he moves 2 inches back to his lines. If he can make it past the halfway zone, past the halfway mark, and end up being closer to the friendly lines, he will able to be salvaged. And if the Serbs had any helicopters on call for search and rescue, they'd be able to send them in to try and get him back. Okay, turn 6. What's going on in turn 6? Flight plan phase. Do we have anything in the flight plan? No, nothing in the flight plan. F-18 has to leave next turn, so I think we'll also schedule our EA-6B and E3 to leave as well. So they're scheduled to leave next turn. So what I'll do is I'll write that in. So you can't just make them disappear magically whenever you want to. You have to schedule them, and it takes them a while to get the message, etc. So right now we're on flight plan turn 6. Next turn, F-18's leaving. I'll add in the EA-6B/E3 sentry out as well. So I add that in for next turn. So next flight plan phase, everyone's out. NATO's going home. Okay. So nothing happens in the flight plan phase. Mandatory moves. F-18 goes 8 inches. Sorry, 7 inches. 6 inch speed bonus plus 1 for speed. MiG-21 goes 8. He's got 2 speed and 6 inch speed bonus. E3 goes 2. And EA-6B goes 3. 2 inch speed bonus plus 1 speed. Action phase of turn 6. Competent F-18 goes first. He's going to make a turn. He passes 90 degrees, but he ignores the speed loss of being powerful. And then he's going to ooh, he doesn't have any aim 9s left. I mean, he could try to make a... he isn't quite within cannon attack range. He's close, but not quite. So all he can do is get a radar lock. So he rolls 2d6. He succeeds easily, even though he's -1 for being wounded. So he's got a radar lock on that MiG-21. And the MiG-21 could try to make a break here if he wants to prevent that radar lock, but he doesn't care too much about that. It's just an annoying sound in his radar warning receiver. So he's just going to... what's he going to do? He could try to turn. I think now's the point where he can make a steep dive. Doesn't matter too much because the NATO aircraft are leaving next turn, but he doesn't know that, so he's going to make a dive by 1. So dive from altitude 5 to altitude 4. That's one action. And that'll gain him 1 speed from speed 2 to speed 3. And then his second action, he'll make a turn. He passes 60, loses 1 speed. Passes 120, loses another speed. So it goes down to speed 1. They can turn up to 179 degrees. Down to speed 1. He can't pass 180 because then he'll lose more speed. So that's his 2 actions, dive and turn. Okay, that is the turn 6 action phase. Now we'll do our asset phase. So our low blower here is going to lock onto that F-18. It doesn't need to roll any checks or anything. There's no pilot or anyone down there. So it gets a radar lock, although the F-18, does the F-18 have ECM? Let's have a look. It does. It has electronic countermeasures, score of 3, ECM 3. So low blow needs a 4+, needs to beat the ECM score on a T6, so it needs a 4+ to lock onto him. It does, it gets a 5. So even despite his jamming, various jamming pods, it's able to lock onto him. Now if this Prowler was at the same altitude as that F-18, he would defend him, protect him from all those locks, so he'd be fine. But the F-18 is much higher. He's altitude 6, while the Prowler's at altitude 1. So, bit of a case of wrong place, wrong time. Cool. So low blow spent 1 action to get a lock. It doesn't need to. It doesn't have any more actions, so there's not much more it can do there. But the SA-3s can fire based on that lock. They got a 16-inch range, so this one is in range. This other one is just out. What I'll do is I'll also... ooh, so the other low blow radar is just out of range of that F-18. Yeah, it's just out. Otherwise the other low blow would lock on as well. So we're going to fire an SA-3 surface-to-air missile there at our friend the F-18. Now an SA-3 moves 7 inches. So it fires from there. 7 inches directly forwards to there. And SA-3 starts the game with 4 missiles, so it can now only fire 3 more. So we put a dice with a marker 3 next to it. That's how many missiles it has remaining. Probably double check that. Let's see, SA-3, 4 missiles. Or missiles, if you're British. So, that's our ground asset phase. I don't think any of these other guys are going to do much. We'll get our pilot to move. Moves 3 inches, so he's getting there, he's getting there. Now for the flight plan phase of turn 7. So what happens in turn 7 for our flight plans? If I can find the flight plans, we can have a look at them. So, turn 7. We've scheduled everything to leave for the NATO forces. And turn 7 for the Serbs, there's nothing much going on, so that's all that's going to happen. So our E3 Sentry is out of there. Our EA-6B Prowler is gone, it's removed when they leave the game. Now our F-18 would usually be removed as well, but because there's a missile incoming, usually any missiles that will hit in the next mandatory move are resolved before they're removed. Because it's just outside of range, it won't quite hit him. He's able to get away before it impacts. So he gets out of there, he's removed. If he was like an inch closer we'd have to resolve that first before he's removed. But as it is, he's just removed. So that's the flight plan phase of turn 6. Now we do mandatory moves. Obviously this missile, there's no target for it, so it's removed. MiG-21 goes 7 inches. Now, because there's no NATO aircraft on the table, this is usually a point where you'd call the game, say, well, that's it, we work out the losses, etc. So eventually this MiG-21 is going to be going to leave the table. So that would happen in some flight plan phase further on, probably next flight plan phase. And all we really need to worry about is, can we get this pilot back to the friendly lines before the game ends? So turn 6, he moves D3, so 1 inch. Turn 7, he moves 3 inches. Turn 7. Now when does the game start to end? Let's have a look. I believe it's after turn 7. Up to turn 8, okay. So turn 8, he moves another D3, that's 2 inches. So after turn 8 we roll to see if the game ends. Game could end on a 3+ there. So let's have a look. And the game's over. So that is it. We'd tally up our points to see what the outcome is. The Serbian pilot, I believe, counts as captured because he's closer to the enemy table edge rather than the friendly one. Let's have a look. Down pilot marker is closest to the enemy table edge, counts as captured. Okay, so I'm going to work out the victory points here. NATO aircraft didn't lose any aircraft. What I'll do is I'll add up all their points, excluding any points for ordnance. So this is the part where I will ignore any of these ordnance points values in the brackets and go through. So what do we got here? 25 for a prowler, 8 points for his average pilot, 18 for a sentry, 8 points average pilot, 35 for the F-18, 20 for the competent, which gives me syntax error. Oopsie. Fuck that up. 8, 35, 20. So 114 points there is my total and for victory points. I haven't inflicted any damage on the mission target. Any damage, I get 2 points per point of damage. I didn't actually destroy those low blow radars, although I did prevent them from locking onto us for most of the game. Now we work out the Serbs. The Serbs still have all their ground assets, but they lost a MiG-21 and his pilot. So that's not ideal. So let's see how many points they have left. 40, 16, 12. Which MiG-21 did we lose? We lost the one with the R-60s, although it doesn't matter because the ordnance is ignored at the end of the game. And that's why we do it, because otherwise you have to think about which ordnance was left at the end, blah blah blah, how many points. And not counting the ordnance gives you an incentive to actually use it during the game. And also to not take too much at the start, because you know it's not going to count towards the victory points at the end. You don't want to like max out your hard points every time, because it's not going to be as good for the game result. So it gives you kind of a realistic amount of ordnance. For example, the F-18 only taking 2 of each missile instead of 4 of each or 8 of each or whatever. So I'm adding up the very last of my points there. Serbs 40 plus 16 plus 12 for their ground assets, 22 for the MiG-21 and his average pilot. Gives me 98 points left at the end there. So we've got 114 left for NATO and 98 left for the Serbs. So if it's within 10%, it's a draw, but I don't think it quite is. So if it's within 15 points, which is not, it would be a draw. So at the moment, is it up to 20 points difference? 30. So yes, I believe it's within 20 points. Within 30 points, which is which will be a 20% difference. 4, 8. Yep, that's fine. So we're in the 11 to 20% points difference, which will mean it's a minor victory for NATO and a close defeat for the Serbs there. And that's pretty much missile threat for you, my friends. I hope that clears things up and explains how a few things work there. Obviously we didn't see any things like bombs being dropped, although it's pretty straightforward. Say I have an A6 with some bombs and it's altitude 2, altitude 4, speed 3, and he wants to drop bombs on that mission target. His bombing range is 7 inches, so 7 inches away. He's not quite in bombing range, so I'd have to wait till next turn. If he was at speed 6, he'd have a 10-inch bombing range, 6 plus 4 for his altitude, so he could drop bombs there. So say he's got 10 bombs, you just say, I want to drop all 10 of my bombs. I make a pilot check. Let's say I was average, I succeed. That's 10 points of damage inflicted. I could choose to drop less if I wanted to. I believe a ground attack is also only 1 action. So you could, if you fail the first one, you can try to do another one. Or you can turn and then make your ground attack. So let's have a look here. A bomb attack takes 1 action. So if he wanted to, if he was about here, he could make a turn, 1 action, drop bombs for a 2nd action. Or if he was here already, and don't forget your bombing engagement zone is a straight line directly ahead. So that's kind of the same as a cannon attack. So if he was in this position, he could roll to drop, say he's got 10 bombs, I'll say I'll drop 5 to start with, and I fail my pilot check, 5 bombs are gone from my ordnance, and nothing's happened, and with my 2nd action I'll try to drop 5 more, which I succeed. So I'm able to drop 5 on that target. And that's pretty much how bombing works. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. So let me know if you have any questions. That is Missile Threat in action, and yeah, happy gaming. See ya.
Target is 76.